Alright, hello, citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nigel once again, and this is going to be another wrestling review. I am a couple weeks late, but hey, I gave you advance notice. It's time to finally review AEW Full Gear. As always, I'm not professional wrestling reviewer or analyst, just a man who enjoys a good time, and I, for the most part, had a pretty solid time with this card. Some interesting decisions in terms of who walked out victorious. Not always interesting bad, but more so interesting as in, well, kind of interesting. Like, oh, okay, let's see where they go with this. Some controversy, a little bit of controversy, or more so just kind of, we'll get into it. So, if you've seen these reviews before, you kind of know how this works. If you haven't, I'm going to be talking about what I liked and what I disliked. Not just about how the matches, but about how the event throughout, and we're going to go match by match. Right off the bat, something I probably am going to forget to mention, but it is worth bringing up. And it's something that I kind of have noticed for a little bit in terms of a trend, but here I think I really noticed it. Nigel McGuinness as a commentator. Here's the thing, like, he's fine. I've heard worse, but but the way he does heel commentary is kind of annoying. I'm not gonna lie. It's one thing to do like a whole like face versus like heel commentary, like a commentary that caters more towards the faces versus a commentary that caters more towards the heels. But I think it got kind of annoying at times to the point where it was like very blatant ass kissing. Like no, some of it was kind of entertaining and kind of funny, and I'll bring that up, bring up that moment or two. But otherwise, yeah, it was a little grating at times. I'm not gonna lie. And like I said, it wasn't every match, but it did happen quite a bit, and it persisted throughout the course of the show. Also, I did kind of skip it forward a little bit through a lot of like the entrances and like the and some of the extra like fluff and stuff. Although I'm up to date with how a lot of feuds came about, so I mostly missed like the hype packages and some of the entrances and stuff. But so to get right to the meat, right to the juicy tender ness of the match, which it does sound kind of weird, but nevertheless. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Enough rambling. So. We kick off with our 6-man tag team match as the Patriarchy, that being Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne, battle against Sting, Darby Allin, and Adam Copeland. So Sting, Darby Allin, and Christian Cage, and Luchasaurus, and now Nick Wayne have been feuding for a while. Adam Copeland just recently came into the fray. Hey, Christian's been going after him, and Adam, unfortunately, I shouldn't say it, unfortunately, but eventually snapped and speared Christian. He could stands all he could stands, but he can't stands no more, and so he decides, hey, you know what? I'm gonna join Sting and Darby Allin. I'm gonna take on Christian Cage here at Full Gear. So we get this here, and it was pretty cool seeing Sting and Darby and Adam Copeland all in like kind of matching face paint, and Adam had his on the side like opposite of like Darby's, which props to Adam, props to Adam, when he teams up with someone who's kind of in like a gimmick similar to that, he's gonna dress for the occasion, such as when he had the mask on when he teamed with Rey Mysterio at Clash of the Castle last year. But yeah, so 6-man and tag action here, and why I brought up Nigel McGuinness kind of being grating as a heel commentator or on commentary, like I think this is where I really started to notice it, and then I couldn't unnotice it for the rest of the night because it did get kind of annoying. Like, I'm not. Here's the thing about heel and face commentators. Like, I'm not objectively against them, especially when you kind of have a middleman to balance it out. And I guess, and the dynamic, at least for this match, they would swap out the commentary, of course, as AEW often does. For this match, where Nigel McGuinness was the heel commentator, Tony Schiavone was the face commentator, and then Excalibur was kind of the middleman to balance it out. But it kind of got grating at times. I think it works when the heel is favoring the heels, but also either like making great solid points where like okay, it's kind of a point where there's some of what they're saying is justified, or when they're at least funny, entertaining. And Nigel McGuinness did some of that first one, some of that second one, but was still kind of grating, unfortunately. But nevertheless, back to the match here. We're not here to complain about Nigel McGuinness all night, but yeah. So, some things of note here. One of the main stories throughout the match being told is that Christian Cage is definitely ducking Adam Copeland, and I might slip up and call him Edge. God knows the commentary and Justin Roberts probably almost did, but but yeah, So Sting and Darby Allin, and as well as Adam Copeland in battling Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne throughout the majority of the match. Ultimately, not really getting their hands on Christian Cage. In fact, Christian Cage at the end of the match takes his TNT title and bolts straight out of the arena away from the ring, leaves his guys high and dry. And so Adam Copeland ultimately hits the spear onto, I believe, Nick Wayne. It was I do have the wiki here for reference, and okay, actually, he actually hit the spear on Luchasaurus, and then Darby Allin performed the coffin drop. So it was actually Darby Allin who got the win for the team. But of course now, kind of flashing forward, which it's thankfully because I'm kind of late to my review on Full Gear, we can kind of flash forward to what they've been doing on the Dynamites and Rampages since. And Adam Copeland, and as of this recording, next Wednesday on Dynamite is going to face Christian Cage for the TNT Championship. So kind of continuing that feud there between them. And also I do have to bring up the pre-show matches, even though I didn't watch them. But one of them does play into what they're going to do for later on the night. So the first match was Eddie Kingston defending the Ring of Honor World Championship against Jay Lethal, which he did successfully. Then Claudio Castagnoli defeated Buddy Matthews, who's by submission, and then MJF and Samoa Joe teamed up. Of course, Adam Cole still out with the injury. Still out with the injury. So MJF had to find a replacement partner, and he chose Samoa Joe, and he and Samoa Joe defeated the Guns to retain the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships. But you know what? Adam Cole's not the only one with a leg injury, because afterwards the Guns attacked MJF's leg. So actually, right following the Patriarchy, Sting, Darby Allin, and Adam Copeland match, Tony Schiavone announces that he's about to announce that because MJF is injured and can't compete, that Jay White becomes champion by default, which of course Jay White is walking around with the championship because he stole it from MJF, and so he's about to declare that Jay White is champion by default. But then Adam Cole shows up, crutches and all, to declare that instead it's going to be him battling Jay White later on for the championship. Now, spoiler, that doesn't actually happen. But could you imagine? And a part of me, even though obviously that's not what the people were sold on, that's not what the people really wanted to see, and ultimately it probably wouldn't have been as good or interesting as the main event wound up being for the most part. But But part of me would have liked to see them actually go through with that. At Adam Cole actually having to fight one leg against Jay White for the title. Part of me kind of wanted to see that. But nevertheless, it's next up for the AEW International Championship. Freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. He defends against the man who freshly squeezes the blood out of his opponent's body, that being Jon Moxley. Okay, I promise that's the last time I'll make that joke. But, well, actually, I don't really promise. I might actually slip up and make that joke again. But nevertheless, for now, that's the last time I'll make that joke. But yeah. So the story here is that Orange Cassidy, he regained the International Championship. So Jon Moxley, if you remember, Jon Moxley and Orange Cassidy battled the last time at All Out, where Jon Moxley won the International Championship. Since then, Moxley lost it to Rey Fenix after he suffered a concussion, and then Orange Cassidy beat Rey Fenix for it. But Orange Cassidy's not satisfied. He feels that his second time as International Champion is incomplete until he beats the man he couldn't beat back at All Out, Jon Moxley. Will he be able to do it? Yes, turns out. So Orange Cassidy really brings it to Jon Moxley once again, like he did it All Out. Now I will say, not the last rematch we'll have on this card, but between this match and then their one at All Out, I think the one at All Out was definitely better. This one I didn't hate, but I do think the one at All Out was better. Probably that sequel syndrome where the sequel just doesn't live up to the original, but still a pretty solid match for the most part. We still see Orange Cassidy taking Moxley seriously, really going after him, and even in the opening, going after Orange Cassidy. He of course, Jon Moxley's busted open. In other news, the sky is blue and the grass is green. But I mean the grass is probably white with all the snow here in Buffalo at least. But yeah, Moxley, he does end up bleeding. And I think Orange Cassidy, Orange Cassidy doesn't get busted open in this one. But they still relatively bring it to each other. 6 orange punches and a beach break is what it takes for Orange Cassidy to put away Jon Moxley and ultimately vanquish him. It also was kind of funny to see Jon Moxley try his own kicks of doom, like the slow kicks on Orange Cassidy, and Orange Cassidy did the same, slow kick into the ramp up of actually hard kicks, like he did back at All Out against Jon Moxley. But it does still play into the story. Orange Cassidy wanting to really take Jon Moxley seriously, wanting to really beat him, and he does. But things far from over. As I believe it was Wheeler Yuta who bumped into Hook, so the feud's still kind of ongoing. And now obviously Trent Beretta so Trent Beretta is kind of getting involved as well. Also, things far from over. This eventually would lead to the return of Danhausen. And in fact, he returned, I think it was last week on Dynamite. Not like this Dynamite that just happened, but the previous Dynamite saw the return to Danhausen. And so Danhausen is back in the fray. So I imagine he'll be with it going forward. But I'm guessing the feud with Best Friends and the Blackpool Combat Club is still going to be going on. And man, that's twice this year that the Best Friends have been involved in a long-term feud with another. Not Best Friends. The Blackpool Combat Club have been involved in a long-term feud with another stable. But nevertheless, congrats to Orange Cassidy on the win. Next up for the AEW Women's World Championship, timeless Toni Storm makes her Hollywood homecoming, because we are in Los Angeles. We're in the Kia Forum Center, or just the Kia Forum. We are in Los Angeles, and so Toni Storm's going to make her Hollywood homecoming and seek to take the AEW Women's World Championship from Hikaru Shida. This match was just a lot of fun. There was a decent amount of action as well, but this match was also pretty funny for the most part. Just Toni Storm's whole act and everything is really entertaining to watch. What a missed opportunity though that the whole match wasn't in black and white. Like Tony Storm's win and then the subsequent celebration was in black and white. But man, you should have made the whole match black and white. Yeah, it would look kind of weird, or yeah, people would have probably complained. But I don't care. It would have been it would have been pretty funny if the whole match was in black and white. But sadly, we didn't quite get that. But we did get Tony Storm actually beating Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's World Championship. If, so, Tony Storm did bring out the shoe. She did nail Shida with the shoe, and then the shoe went flying into the crowd. Then she took off Shida's one of Shida's shoes and tried to hit her with that, but that didn't happen, and the shoe also went flying into the crowd. I wonder if anybody caught them, or I wonder if anybody got hit with them. But ultimately, Tony Storm had how the match ended. Tony Storm had like a pan. She hit it in her trunks, and then nailed the hip attack in the corner onto Hikaru Shida. In order to win, it was visible because it had slid down her it slid down her trunks near her bottom. In like obviously in kayfabe, Aubrey Edwards is not supposed to see it, but in reality, Aubrey Edwards, you're telling me Aubrey Edwards just counted straight and didn't look over to the my left, her right. She didn't look over to the right and see the big metal piece he's near Tony Storm's bottom. But nevertheless, Tony Storm getting the win here. It does feel kind of bittersweet because on one hand, a lot of people are excited for this. Tony Storm has been very entertaining, and she's definitely getting a push. They're strapping a rocket to her with this character and everything. But on the other hand, why you keep giving Hikaru Shida these short championship reigns with the AEW Women's World Championship? But nevertheless, congrats to Tony Storm on the win. And pretty entertaining and pretty fun for the most part. Alright, so edit there. But nevertheless, next up for the AEW World Tag Team Championships, Ricky Starks and Big Bill defended against La Facción Ignorable. And I already know I butcher the name every time. Unfortunately, my Spanish unfortunately isn't as good as it used to be. But that is the team of Rush and Realistico. And then FTR, that being Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood, and the Kings of the Black Throne being Malachi Black and Brody King. Why don't Malachi Black and Buddy Matthews, or Buddy Matthews and Brody King, get a cool team up name like Malachi Black and Brody King do? Unless they do. If they do, please feel free to correct me in the comments. But nevertheless, I'm guessing somebody at AEW heard my complaints about how the whole Fatal 4-Way tag, you gotta tag in. You gotta tag in to be legal in the match. They must have heard that complaint, felt sorry, and decided to give me a ladder match because I love ladder matches. And this one definitely did not disappoint. Just a lot of spills, a lot of crazy spots, including Cash Wheeler. First, Brody King nails the pile driver on, I believe it was Rush. He nailed the pile driver onto the ladder. Then Cash Wheeler with a cross body onto Brody King onto the ladder. The ladder still didn't break. Hashtag I am the ladder, but there was moments like that, and Brody King even gets busted open as well. And all four teams, I think, looked pretty solid for the most part. But ultimately, in the end, Ricky Starks and Big Bill retain. Ricky Starks nailing Dax Harwood with the title, and then grabbing it for he and Big Bill. And I mentioned it before, but it bears repeating. It's crazy how it took Big Bill to go all the way to AEW to get a tag team championship. Of course, Big Bill, the former Big Cass in WWE, teamed with Enzo Amore, but swapped out Enzo Amore for Ricky Starks, which is a very good trade-up. But and also, on a more personal note, hey, man, it's so awesome to see Big Cass, Big Bill, however you refer to him, really turn his career around and really turn his life around. Like compared to how he looked before when he was addicted to alcohol and drugs and stuff, to see him now how clean and jacked and everything he looks, man, it's phenomenal. And they're definitely it's awesome seeing him get titles here, or same with Ricky Starks. Just great stuff all throughout, and a pretty solid match. So congrats to them. I imagine they'll probably hang on to the titles for a little while. But yeah, congrats to Ricky Starks and to Big Bill. But nevertheless, next up for the AEW TBS Championship, Chris Statlander has to defend not only against Julia Hart, honoring the House of Black, but also Sky Blue, really a lot of the feud does come down mainly to Julia Hart versus Sky Blue. They've been kind of going at it, including Julia Hart misting Sky Blue in the face, and Statlander ultimately putting her title on the line against both of them. And when Julia Hart actually picks up the win here, which is pretty impressive. A pretty solid three-way between the three women. I think they all did a pretty decent job. And congrats to Julia Hart for picking up the win, and to see how she won it after Chris Statlander hit the Saturday Night Fever on Sky Blue. Julia Hart pretty much stealing it and stealing the pin was pretty cool to see. So congrats to her finally winning some championship gold in AEW. Who I would say let her hold on to it for a little bit. If you want her to feud with Chris Statlander, she can. But otherwise, as Chris Statlander is done there, then move her up to the AEW Women's World Championship division. But yeah, congrats to Julia Hart on the win. Then next up, the match I'm sure you all have been waiting for me to talk about, and you know why I'm going to be talking about it. Because it's on pay-per-view and we have to review it. But next up, the Texas Death Match as Swerve Strickland battles Hangman Adam Page. So the feud to here has been nuts. It's including some good old-fashioned home invasion. And so these two actually fought at Wrestle Dream, where Swerve Strickland picked up the win over Hangman, but the feud continued from there, including Swerve breaking into Hangman's house. So Hangman is not too thrilled about it. Letting Swerve know that he's a dead man and that he's going to be coming after him. And come after him he did. If you're squeamish, if you're someone who doesn't really like blood or like the deathmatch style of wrestling, then I got bad news for you, because that's exactly what this match is. Like this is a match that caused a whole lot of stir on social media. A lot of people it was very split. Like, a lot of people love this match, a lot of people hate this match. Definitely a very gruesome, bloody match. And Hangman definitely made good on his promise to go after Swerve, including bringing out the staple gun, and that happened within the first 5 minutes of the match. Hangman didn't even get an entrance; he just jumped Swerve right into the entrance, which Swerve's entrance was pretty cool as well, with Prince Nana and the dancers doing the Swerve dance, which it's crazy what you get over with. And how's that two people in AEW, both Prince Nana and Daniel Garcia, who have gotten over with just a silly dance? But nevertheless, Hangman going after Swerve, or getting the staple gun, stapling Swerve a bunch of times, including stapling his child's finger painting onto Swerve's face. He's stapling a paper as well onto Swerve's face. And then Hangman drinking the blood, which yikes. But then it just gets crazy from there. There's barbed wire. There's even a barbed wire board. There's glass, and Swerve pours the glass onto Hangman's back, and then does a 450 onto it. It just all kinds of crazy stuff. Definitely put the death in Texas Deathmatch. Put the death match in Texas Deathmatch, I should say. But yeah, they definitely went at it. If you're not if you're not a fan of deathmatch type wrestling, if you're not a fan of the blood and stuff like that, this match is definitely not for you. But if you are a big fan of that, had fan of places like CZW or even old school ECW, then this is definitely the match for you. Ultimately, it ends with Hangman being choked out with the chain, and Swerve choked him out with the chain, and then Hangman passed out, couldn't answer the 10 count, so ultimately Swerve picked up the win, and so they're definitely strapping the Rocket to Swerve, and that is not a bad thing at all. You definitely do love to see it off of a Swerve Strickland there, but yeah, so him beating Hangman twice in a row, is pretty impressive. So props to Swerve for getting the win twice in a row, and with him also winning. Moving on in the Continental Classic, you can tell he's definitely being lined up for big things. He very well could be the next AEW World Champion, perhaps. And you know what? I wouldn't be mad at Swerve. Is incredibly talented. He's definitely got a fantastic character. He's a fantastic heel. Well, definitely strapped the Rocket to him. But this was a gory, bloody affair. Both men are definitely insane for all the stuff they went through in this match. I know I could not do it, which is why I have so much respect for the pro wrestlers and just pro wrestling in general because of matches like this. What they put their bodies and stuff through for the sake of entertainment. So, all the props in the world to both these guys. They definitely have earned it. But then, next up, tag team match as the Golden Jets battle the Young Bucks. So if the Golden Jets lost, they would have to disband as a team. But if the Young Bucks lose, then the Golden Jets get their shot at the AEW Tag Team Championships, the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Pretty much a lover or leaver match, except with less McMahon's. But we see ultimately pretty solid match, but ultimately kind of furthering more the Young Bucks' descent into the heel turn. Not fully in heel territory, at least not yet, but very slowly inching their way there. Including employing some underhanded tactics such as low blows to both Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho. And overall just underhanded tactics. Ultimately, Omega and Jericho do end up getting the win, and both teams definitely brought it, and the Golden Jets, which I kind of did know that the Jets would win. I knew they wouldn't break them up anytime soon. I wonder if they will win the tag team championships, but so a pretty solid match for the most part. To see the Young Bucks get kind of booed, almost in their home state, at least. They're not their hometown, not Cucamonga, California, but in their home state. It was interesting, and I think I did hear some CM Punk chants. I couldn't quite make it out, but I think I did hear some CM Punk chants, so I think that might explain it. But nevertheless, congrats to the Golden Jets on the win, and a solid match for the most part. And then finally, in your main event, Switchblade Jay White will take on Adam Cole for the AEW World Championship. Until MJF shows up in the ambulance, MJF does pull up in the ambulance, having commandeered the ambulance, and Stone Cold Max Friedman, anyone? But he does commandeer the ambulance and comes back, and wait, it wasn't Stone Cold who stole the ambulance. No, Stone Cold stole the police car, I think. I don't know, I gotta go back and watch some Attitude Era. But nevertheless, MJF is here, bum leg and all. He is going to wrestle. And that's exactly what he does against Jay White here, and really trying to fight all of Bullet Club Gold until the guns get caught cheating, and the referee catches them, ejects them, and so that from there it's MJF and Switchblade. And man, the stuff they did with this match was crazy. MJF, I want to say selling the leg, but apparently he really did injure his leg. so I guess this was also a way to like cover it up, but yeah. So injured leg and all, MJF still brought it. Including moments like the dive through the broken table. Originally was going to be the dive onto the table fully assembled, but the table gave way when Switchblade was placed on top of it. So MJF just said screw it and dove on him anyway. That was kind of funny, but also kind of cool. And then a whole running cutter to the outside. Ultimately, MJF getting the win after Adam Cole slides in the Dynamite Diamond Ring, and the Guns do come back out because the ref is down, but MJF takes them out, and then takes out Switchblade, ultimately to win and be reunited with the Triple B. But this match did get some flack as well from a lot of people. It was still a really solid match, a really fantastic match, and a great showing for both guys. But people say that this was a burial for Jay White. The fact that he had Bullet Club Gold and the bum leg max, but still couldn't get the job done. And it was an interesting choice. I kind of figured MJF would win, and I did talk about it in my predictions because as with other challengers such as like Samoa Joe and Wardlow, you can tell not quite done with his world championship run. That and whoever is behind the devil mask, whoever stole MJF's devil mask, but people are calling this a burial. They're saying Jay White got buried. This is not a good look for him. And even Jay White has said he was frustrated with some of the build surrounding this match. He was kind of frustrated with how things went. Is this a burial? I don't really think so. Like the thing is a lot of people kind of figured Jay White wasn't going to win this match, but it still will accomplish like still having the challenger look relatively strong in defeat. Jay White still looked like an absolute monster going after the appendages and really bringing it to Max, to the point where Max did have to use the diamond ring in order to get the win, and Max came close to losing to Jay White. They didn't even have Jay White hit the Blade Runner on Max for him to kick out. Like I would say, if it was I would say a true burial would be the match not really going that long, which this match did. It at 29 minutes and 45 seconds is the second longest match of the night, right behind. It's only and Swerve and Hangman was only 10 seconds longer, but Jay White really going toe to toe with MJF. Plus, as even with the frustrated build, the build to this was not bad with Bullet Club Gold beating MJF at almost every turn, and then ultimately getting their comeuppance here. Plus the fact that, like I said, MJF having to use the Dynamite Diamond Ring, it could be inferred that if he didn't use that, Jay White might have won the title. Do I think Jay White should have won here? Or like, it wouldn't have been a bad thing. I think a lot of people would have been receptive to it. They definitely built him up as credible, but you know what? Even being credible in defeat, I think, like, if you're not gonna have them win the title, at least make them look strong in defeat. Unless it's a moment where they absolutely should have won the title without a question, such as it's not really as bad as, say, Cody Rhodes at Mania 39 earlier this year, but MJF having to dig down deep and really prove who he's a fighter against Jay White. Like, he didn't make Jay White look like a total chump. Jay White still got a lot of offense in, and Jay White still being featured. Or granted, he did lose in the Continental Classic, and I believe he's out, which is concerning. But otherwise, I don't think it's really a burial. Some people have said that the term burial is kind of overused, and yeah, it is. But this, especially, I don't think is really that much of a burial. I think it is exaggerated a bit. Still having MJF overcome the odds. I think that was more the story, is MJF having to overcome the odds and really dig down deep in order to put away Jay White. The only thing is MJF using the diamond ring and maybe he actually putting him away with the finisher instead of the diamond ring and then having to wait for the referee. I think that was kind of damaging a bit, but otherwise I don't think it's as bad as people are making it out to be. But things do get exaggerated sometimes on the internet. That's kind of just the nature of things. But nevertheless, still a really solid card. Or although I am late to the party, I did still enjoy myself at the party. But nevertheless, if I did have to pick the strongest and the weakest matches of the night, the strongest would probably go to the Texas Death Match and the World Championship match and the four-way ladder match. Only because I'm a sucker for ladder matches. If I did have to pick the weakest, probably the opening match, only really by comparison. It was still pretty decent for the most part, but just compared to everything else, the opening match wasn't quite as strong. We even saw Ric Flair get physical a little bit in that match, which was interesting. But nevertheless, that is going to do it for this review. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor: like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video, so you can see as soon as it drops. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts on Full Gear, my review. Did you dislike Full Gear this year? Did you dislike my review of Full Gear? And it is interesting that MJF has now surpassed the 365-day mark, which is why he had it on his armband or his elbow pad. And also shout out to the cool Lakers gear. But also the fact that at Full Gear last year was when MJF won the AEW World Championship. That was pretty cool. Sadly, they didn't really bring that up on commentary, which I thought was kind of a missed opportunity. But nevertheless, that is going to do it for this review. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace.